Despite a 72-40 shot attempt disadvantage, the Blackhawks get a point and almost a win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll break down the good, the bad, and the ugly on the postgame show coming up next. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. As I start my clock here, thanks for being with us. Do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel as well. And if you're listening on the podcast, follow or subscribe on your favorite app. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Greg Boysen. Joey Christopoulos is running the show for us tonight. Mario Tirabassi will join us shortly from the United Center with Jeff Blashill and some post-game sound. Hawks lose 2-1 in the shootout to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this was pretty much a 60-minute power play for the Lightning. And thanks to Arvid Soderblom, the Hawks get a point.
Yeah, almost like watching last night's game all over again. Same kind of series of events. Blackhawks get just owned at 5-on-5, find a way to keep the game tied. Last night, Spencer Knight was really good. There was a little more offense last night against Carolina. But then, the Hawks played real well in the third period and played their best OT of the season. They get it to OT tonight. They played really good in overtime again.
They were great in overtime.
They've seemed to figure that out. And then it's a shootout is a crapshoot. Dominic James gets his revenge on the team that dared to draft him a few years ago.
I love that concept.
Yeah, like
how dare you give me a professional career in hockey? Jerks.
But listen, the way this game was unfolded, you're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now a 15-game point streak. They have not lost in regulation in 2026.
And it's, by the way, it's a 15-game point streak, and it's 14-0-1.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a bunch of overtime losses in there. It's wins.
Right. They've won 14 of 15.
Yeah.
They have one overtime loss, and I think that was to Colorado.
I believe that's correct.
So, yeah, they've been pretty damn good. Just give John Cooper the Jack Adams Award now, because what he's doing with this team, look at the injuries they've had this season. I mean, they're doing this point streak without Braden Point.
It was to the Blues.
Okay.
Shootout loss to the Blues.
Almost the same team.
Yeah. Almost
they're in the same division. But no, you haven't had Victor Hedman in weeks.
Yeah.
Braden Point's out for the foreseeable future, maybe out for the Olympics. Those are two really important players. Yeah. Nikita Kucherov has missed time this year. Brendan Hagel and Anthony Cirelli have missed games. They've been banged up all season.
Yeah, and Hagel left the game for a while today after blocking a shot.
Yeah, those guys are, they're basically just walking, talking bruises.
And they've won 14 to 15.
And they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. John Cooper just is really good. And, look at some of the names that played tonight. How many times did we look and go, who the hell is this guy? This guy's
What's
dead.
his name? Tony Disastrous?
Yeah, Dave Disaster or whatever his name is.
Charles Edward Diastus.
That's not a
person.
That's not a real person.
And then the person that lost to a one-handed elderly man in a fight, Jack Finley. Whom?
Exactly.
Whomst are you?
And this team,
Declan Carlisle. Who are these people?
They're not real people.
Yes.
And yet they're keep winning games. This is such a well-coached team. I knew watching that first period, the second period, they're down 1-0. A lot of teams would get super frustrated at that point. They just, nope, we're just going to keep doing what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah.
We don't care who's in the lineup. We don't care what the score is. We play our game, and that is coaching, and that's what Jeff Blashill is trying to do here. And you're seeing these last two nights kind of you got to give a nod to the coaching in there, in that mindset of how many times have we heard Blashill say this season, we've got to learn how to find a way to win when we don't have our best game. And they've got 3 points in the last 2 nights against 2 first-place teams when they should have been ran out of the building both nights. They should have lost both of those games by 3 goals at least, and yet they find a way to get 3 points. To get 50 points. You want to know when they got 50 points last year?
I do.
They didn't get their 50th point of the season until March 23rd, the 71st game of the season, and here we are on January 23rd, and they've got 50 points.
Well, maybe Jeff Blashill can finish second in the Jack Adams voting then, because you're right. Like someone in the chat said that the last 2 nights were Luke Richardson hockey. They were, because it's what you needed to do to survive against those 2 teams, and hopefully the Hawks someday become that team that can do this to others. But to get 3 points out of a possible 4 against Carolina and Tampa on back-to-back nights, I don't care how ugly it was, salute to the Blackhawks, man, because they were getting hemmed in, but they never quit. You had Artem Levchinov in the 3rd period laying out twice to save the game with blocked shots. Like, guys were doing everything they could. They were just simply outmatched today. It is a little interesting to me, though, that, and I know we watch the Dynasty Hawks do this to teams now and again, but these Hawks are not last year's Hawks. I'm a little bit surprised to see that it was that lopsided possession-wise, and I want to know, and this is maybe a question for Jeff Blashill next time we get to talk to him in person, is like, how do you explain it when you just can't get the puck? You just cannot get it away, and it's not like they weren't going into corners. It's not like they weren't trying to get them away. They were blocking shots. They were engaged on the boards. It was as if the Lightning had a magnetic puck, and they did not. I don't know how you explain that. And I would like to hear a coach explain how it can get so lopsided and I see a shift or 2 or even a period, but for basically 60 minutes, the Lightning were on the power play, it felt like.
Yeah, and it's the second straight night the Blackhawks got lucky that their opponent missed the net so much. Last night, the Hurricanes had 22 missed shots. The Blackhawks had 22 shots on goal. Tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning missed the net 26 times. And a lot of those were bad misses on wide open cages. Yeah. So a lot of luck went into this, not taking credit, not taking anything away from the effort and, hanging in there. The Hawks could have easily folded and said, oh, we're just getting on, let them score a few goals and let's move on. But there was a little bit of luck to go into. You get played that, outplayed that badly 2 nights in a row. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of luck to get some and they were an Andre Burakovsky stick on puck away in overtime.
Yeah, man.
Of winning that game. I mean, I don't know how they didn't score on that play in overtime, but the game, the way they played overall, that's nothing to be happy about.
No.
In either of these games. But again, you're playing the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, first place in both divisions. But the results you can be happy about, that you found a way to get points when you badly need them. You're trying to stay alive in this wild card race. You're trying to play meaningful games after the Olympic break. You need every single point you can get. Yeah, so the fact that you could get 3 points on back-to-back nights when you just got skated up and down the rink, that's a big deal.
It absolutely is, and I think that's what makes the the ones that you feel like they should have won. Maybe it eases that pain a little bit, but maybe it makes it a little more frustrating because you're like, my God, they're able to do this, and yes, badly outperform, but get points. Yet when sometimes lesser opponents come, they just don't seem to have the same level of. I don't know how. I don't want to call it intensity. Maybe desperation is the term I'm looking for. Like on defense of just, we have to do everything we can all the time to not get scored on. It has to be maximum effort all the time.
But I think these last 2 games on Sunday night as well against the Florida Panthers, because they're next on the schedule, this ridiculous stretch that they're in. I think these are good learning moments for this Blackhawks team where Jeff Blashill will say, hey, you know what I have been preaching to you about staying within the system and, tying your shifts, all that stuff. Look at these teams we've played. Look at what Carolina does under Rod Brendamore. Look at what the Tampa Bay does. They never broke out of their system, never deterred from their game plan, even a single shift in those games. That's what championship teams do. The Panthers are going to come in here and play the same way from the opening faceoff to the final horn. They're not going to change the way they play because you're doing something. They're going to make you play their game.
Right.
So these are good examples in a row, and now you're getting points because you're just scrapping and finding a way. These are good, you get in that video room, you huddle up, and you say, see, we want to be those guys.
Yes, that's
the goal.
This is what we want.
This is the goal. So if you keep believing and buying into what I'm telling you, we will be those teams.
Well, and I think you can look at the penalty kill rather as like a good example of it. We got the best penalty kill in the league because you're sticking with what we're telling you to do, right? You're playing, and sure, you don't have proven all-star type players yet, right? But Ilya Mikheyev's a dog of a defender. I think Alex Vlasic has had 2 tremendous games in a row, especially on the power play. So it just goes to show you, like, if you do what we tell you, you're going to get some results. And look, I think that these guys, despite how the games went, to get 3 points out of these 2 games has to be a massive, massive confidence boost for them. It has to be. Why don't we head to the Blackhawks locker room right now? We're going to hear from Ryan Greene. This is our new segment, Checking It Out, sponsored by Old National Bank. Every play matters, whether it's on the field or in your financial life. The best teams win by delivering excellence at every level. Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Member FDIC. Let's check out what Ryan Greene, the goal scorer for the Blackhawks tonight, had to say after the loss.
3 points in 2 nights, but you're probably a little disappointed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's obviously a good game to win, and I thought we played really well in the third and had some chances to put it away. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow so we can win games like that.
It's a stage you're this close against 2 of the best Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that says a lot about us when we're playing the right way and we're playing good hockey. I think we're a tough team to handle, and we're just trying to keep that going moving forward.
What do you see on your goal?
Just me and the goalie. Just had to find a way to put it in. Just happy to win it.
Did you know Lardis was going to pull the defender, or did you see how that kind of played out?
Honestly, I had no idea. Unbelievable play by him, and then obviously great IQ by Morsey to not touch that there and let Fliggy get onside. So great plays by both of those guys.
Goaltending has a lot to do with it, but playing well defensively the last couple games. What are you saying on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think tonight we owe a lot of credit to Sodi. I mean, I thought he was unbelievable, and I don't think that game goes to overtime without him playing the way he did. So credit to him.
You young guys have been making an increasing impact on the penalty kill. Obviously, probably don't want to be out there as much as you have been, but what's working for the young guys especially?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've been doing the same PK now all year, and I think over time, we've gotten more comfortable in it, and obviously it involves, a lot of pressure, and heavy pressure. We like to put teams on their heels a little bit and not give them too much time to make plays, so I think we've been doing a pretty good job of that.
It's a hard team to create offense against. Did you guys think you kind of caught your rhythm in that third period?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I think the first couple periods there, they probably took it to us a little more than we did to them, but I thought, we had a good push there in the third, and looking to build off that going into Sunday.
What's the difference there? Changing the forecheck or something?
No, I thought we just play fast, play predictable, play the right way.
With a few goals from you lately, if you look at it, are you doing something differently, or just it's finally somewhere go in for you? Or are you?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily changing anything. Just capitalizing on chances is obviously something that I've struggled with. So just trying to find a way to get those in.
All right, that's Ryan Greene post-game today. And with that, we got to head to the break zone. But first, we're going to present our Game Day Men's Health Game Puck nominees. Obviously, Arvid Soderblom is a nominee for a game puck today. 30 saves. He was incredible. What did you say the expected goals was? Like
3.99.
Yeah. Really, really good game for him. So that's a given. I expect that he will win. Ryan Greene, who we just heard from with a goal, his third in his last 7 games, and that gives him 7 on the season. So that finishing we've been wanting to see from Ryan Greene is starting to come.
Was that 2 goals in the last 3 games?
Yeah.
And they were both chances right in front of the net
Right.
that he's been getting all season. They're starting to go in. That's a good sign. That's
I really like Ryan Greene.
The most pleasant surprise of Blackhawks season, without a doubt,
I think
is Ryan Greene.
Absolutely. And that shutout win from Drew Comesso. That was probably
that was one game.
In terms of a yes.
I'm talking about like overall performance from the whole season, the most pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Nobody had any expectations for Ryan Greene this year.
We're also going to give a Game Puck nomination to Frank Nazar, who was the highest rated player metrically, 12 shot attempts for, 14 against with him on the ice. In a game where you got caved in possession-wise to be close to 50% is solid. His Fenwick, it was 10-10, even. The only guy at 50% at that number. He also had a shootout goal and is looking to find his legs again after missing every game since December 20th. So get your votes in for our Game Day Men's Health Game Puck. Better father, better husband, better man. Go to Game Day Men's Health. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find the locations closest to you.
I want to give an honorable mention for Game Puck to Oliver Moore just for that awareness on that goal to not touch the puck until Nick Foligno. That is such a savvy veteran play to come from a young guy. Excellent. Like when they went to challenge that, it was like, oh, that's so offside. And then when we actually saw the replay, I was like, he's not touching the puck. That's a good goal.
But yesterday's goal that he set up, the Lardis goal, I noticed something about him that you don't see from a lot. He is a very heads-up skater. He is always kind of monitoring the situation. He's very aware of what's happening around him. That is something that you really can't coach. And you just hope it comes with time and experience. And as they get more comfortable, the game just slows down. But Oliver Moore very much has that vision of the game where he's very aware of what's happening around him. And that play was another example because
you can't coach that. That's natural.
Because when they reviewed that, I had noticed that play. I'm like, was that offside? That maybe was offside. And then 20 seconds went by, 30 seconds went by, but the Hawks had the puck the whole time. And they scored, and I was like,
kudos to the linesman for not blowing it dead there. That would have been but he was right there, saw that he wasn't touching the puck, and let the play go. And seconds later, it was a goal.
All right, we are going to hit the break zone. Make sure you hit the like button while we're in the break zone. We have 350 plus people watching and 130 likes, which is great, but we want more. So please hit that like button for us. Back in 2 minutes with more on CHGO Blackhawks. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And with the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So download the app, use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. They got the Sunday Night Football 365K jackpot, got all the championship games this weekend. So get those wagers in. And breaking news from Bet365. You deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. So again, download the app, use our code CHGO365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if your team wins or loses, and use those bonuses on spreads, totals, player props, and more. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And a reminder that this offer is in app only. And we got to ask you, does anything go better than football and wings? I don't think so. And at Hooters, they're ringing in the new year with Dry January. If you are looking to be less saucy this month, Hooters has your back. Check out their Black and Dry Rub. Pairs great with their non-alcoholic beers like Mick Ultra Zero. They've also got a refreshing mocktail, the Red Bull Strawberry Smash, made with Red Bull and strawberry syrup. Stick to your resolutions at Hooters. That's my resolution. Eat more Hooters. That's what I'm in. I'm doing well, by the way. Check out their Touchdown Bundle Party Pack that includes 50 traditional wings, 50 boneless wings, 4 orders of fries or tots, and 8 ranch or blue cheese dressings for dipping. That sounds like a meal for me. Cheer on your favorite teams from any of their 11 Chicagoland Hooters locations or the one in my hometown of Oak Lawn. Also great locations in Orland Park, Schaumburg, and of course, the one with the ghosts on Well Street. Check them out at originalhooters.com. All right, we are back on CHGO Blackhawks. Thanks, everybody, to hit that like button. We appreciate that big time. Joey, do we have any super chats we need to get to here before we?
Well, we sure
move along?
do, Jay.
Let's
Let's
see what we
pull
got.
up one from Ralph J4297.
Oh, Ralph J gives us $2 to say. So is Bedard going to get another point this season?
Nope.
No, he's not.
Trade him.
Nope. Go cheer for the Sharks.
Next topic.
Trade him. Package him and Tyler Bertuzzi for, I don't know. Who do we want?
Macklin Celebrini and Ivan Demidov.
Sure.
Some of the randos on the Lightning tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Gonclave?
Yeah, what's his name?
Goncalves?
Let's trade-
Gonclave?
Dong Travius. What's his name?
Let's trade.
Charles Edward Destris.
That's who I want for Connor Bedard.
That guy talks with a pinky up and wears a monocle. Do they have like a monocle mask? Just one. That name is a condescending name.
This is one of those things too, where like I always just imagine like if their mother or father lost them in the park, they have to say that name out loud.
I mean,
Charles Edward.
Yeah.
the guy.
Yes, mother.
He sounds like the first guy to lose his head during the French Revolution.
Maybe at the next Olympics.
And then the war began.
Isn't the next Summer Games also in France? I think so. Or maybe it's the next Winter Games. Just more beheadings in the opening ceremonies. That's what I asked for.
Yes.
Remember that? The heavy metal
that
was
what
amazing.
what was the name of the
I
band?
can't think of the name of them. Someone with a G.
Yeah.
Gherkin.
Not Ganja, but something like that.
I don't know.
Somebody in the chat. will know.
Gojira.
So, yeah.
Look at that. I got that.
No, that was cool. I enjoyed that. That
was
because
awesome.
it made lots of people clutch
There
their
was
pearls.
fire and there was fake blood and beheadings. It was
and heavy
amazing.
metal. I mean,
Yes,
there's
that's
nothing more Olympics than that.
3 for 3. Let's have a conversation, shall we? We have to have a conversation.
Fine. I mean, it is a podcast.
Andre Burakovsky, I know he's been under the weather. I know he had a concussion. And I'm trying to be sensitive to those things because they are real. These are human beings that are going through stuff. He's got a new baby at home, so sleep is probably elusive. But man, we need more.
What the fucking in that?
We need more. I mean, sure. And I'll even say, like, that play aside where he has the game on a stick and just can't get a stick on it, fine. But during the course of the game, he's not generating anything.
No.
Anything.
Part of the reason he was brought in here and had success early in the season playing with Connor Bedard was
because he was playing with Connor Bedard.
Well, but he was like getting the puck through the neutral zone and, you know, having pretty good vision and good hands and just his zone entries were really good. That helped Bedard get off to that great start because he was getting puck possession for that line, and that's just not happening right now. And you know, the next one-on-one puck battle he wins will be the first he wins in quite some time.
That's the thing.
He's
man.
getting pushed off the puck far too easily.
And
He's not engaging, and if that's a side effect of the concussion, that's a problem. That's something that needs to be addressed. To like, okay, if you're not healthy, we need to get you out of the lineup. You got Teuvo Teravainen coming back. You've got not enough spots right now for all the forwards you have.
This is what I want to see. This is what I'm curious about from Blashill is if you have a veteran that is clearly underperforming, will they get scratched? Because he'll scratch Colton Dock. He'll scratch Landon Slaggert. He'll even scratch Artem Levchinov now and again, whoever it might be. But we've not seen him look at a veteran player and say, you need to sit.
Have you forgotten the 45 games Sam Lafferty has been scratched?
Well,
He's
that's a little different. But yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, there was a play on one of the power plays. It had to be the first period, yes, because they were shooting towards us. The power play has been lousy recently.
Yeah.
0 for its last 15 after a stretch where they went 9 for 21. There was a play where they were having so much trouble even getting in the zone. They finally get it in the zone, and the puck is kind of like trickling back. And I want to say it was Nazar was kind of up in the bumper, and he looked like he was about to tee it up for a one-timer, which would have been the first shot on goal of that power play. But Burakovsky's skating across the zone and skates right in front of him and kind of stops, and he couldn't, and he then had to defer to Burakovsky to take the puck. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. It's
been
frustrating to watch because and it's not just the fact that he's not winning board battles are producing. Instead, he is just a staple in the top 6. And I know, I guess, if you're not winning board battles, you can't play in the bottom 6. But can you give him the 8 minutes a game treatment, and maybe you treat him as like a power play specialist only?
But what's he doing on the power play to deserve that?
I mean, he can enter the zone.
Sometimes.
Not
tonight.
Yeah, it's
Not
frustrating.
last night.
And I've been frustrated with Ryan Donato lately too.
Yeah, that hasn't been very good at all either. That's a guy that's trying to do too much, trying to live up to that contract. Just go do what you do.
You
man.
don't have to do that.
Just do what you did last season to get you that contract.
We heard I might have brought this up a couple days ago. Sometimes I don't know if I'm talking to myself in my car or if I say it on the show, so I apologize.
Well, I don't listen when I'm not on, so it's
why
new to
would
me.
you? I'm trash. You have to listen to me when you're here.
So it's new to me.
Well, there you go. I think it was the Banner Years Dale Talon interview. By the way, every shift coming soon. Look for yours truly on that. Dale Talon was talking about Brian Campbell and saying sometimes when a guy signs a big deal, they feel like they have to go out there every shift and justify it every shift. And what I've been saying about Ryan Donato for the past at least 4 or 5 shows has been the reason you got paid is because you were doing under Anders Sorensen and Luke Richardson everything Jeff Blashill wants you to do. And now all of a sudden, Jeff Blashill's here and you're not doing that. We're seeing dipsy-doos and extra stick handles and extra moves. Even the shootout goal, which was a nice move, and he almost got it last night, but just couldn't lift it over Anderson's pad, right? And I feel like every puck that comes to him, he has to settle it. Just rip it, man. Just put, like last year, he had this knack for getting an opportunity and taking it. And that's why he got 31 goals, because he was putting the puck on net constantly. Now we're not seeing it from him. And look, again, all these guys are probably dealing with stuff that's just not bad enough to keep them out of games. So I'm here to allow for that. And I understand it, right? I don't think that Ryan Donato suddenly forgot how to play hockey. But what's frustrating to me is we're seeing the same kind of mistakes from him all the time. Like if you could see, he's just like we saw when Nazar came back from the Calgary injury. He didn't look fast. You could tell the lower body injury was not totally healed, and he wasn't himself. So you're like, okay, he's clearly not up to speed yet. He'll get there. Donato, it's the same thing all the time lately.
Yeah, and I know he's versatile. His versatility is one of his biggest assets. And we saw it last year that, he played top 6, he played top line, he played third line. He did all these things, but he was the same guy wherever they put him. And this year, he hasn't really found that spot that he's stayed in. He's moved up and down the lineup a lot, and he's played with a lot of different line mates this year. So I think that is a factor into what we're seeing. But you moved around a lot last season, not as much as this season, but you still played the same game no matter what line you were on or who you were with, where it's, this year he seems to be trying to do too much depending on who he's with. Like he had those couple of games with Lardis and Moore, and he was like trying to match their skill. You're not going to do that.
Right.
You need to be
and
out.
By the way, nice assist last night to set up Lardis.
Sure.
Yep.
But it's just, I knew he wasn't going to score 30 goals this year. I don't think anybody predicted that again.
No, but more than what he's doing.
And it's not even like it's not even like he's having bad puck luck. Like he's not like he's having a Ryan Greene year where he was getting a ton of chances and just not bearing them until recently. He hasn't been generating a lot of dangerous chances this year. A lot of that is because he seems, as you said, a little hesitant. He had a quick trigger finger last season, and this year it seems like he's, thinking a little bit too much out there. And that half a second to think makes you, the play's over at that point.
I'm going back to December. So since December, he's got 1-2 goals since December 1st.
It's 2 more than I have.
That's true.
And I'm making a lot less money than he is.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 games. 2 goals in his last 26 games.
It's not good.
Actually, 27, because he didn't score on November 30th either. 2 goals in his last 27 games. You need more. And when he signed the deal, we talked about it. Not going to score 31 again. We knew that. But we thought he did 31 and 31 last year, 20 and 20.
That'd be great.
Reasonable.
That'd be great.
Worth the money, but it hasn't been there. So let's hope it turns around. All right, we're going to hit the break zone. Mario is standing by from the UC. So you hit that like button. We'll hear from Jeff Blashill coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. Is there anything better than getting back to the roots of hockey, the nostalgia of the outdoor game away from the indoor rinks? Well, you can go, you can watch, you can play at the 4th annual Sand County Classic at Sand Valley up in Wisconsin. That's January 30th through February 1st. 4-on-4 round-robin hockey play. They've got multiple outdoor rinks, a stunning hockey environment with snow-capped dunes and red pines, and they've got divisions for 21+, 30+, and 40+ with advanced and beginner tiers. So hockey for everyone. And don't forget the Sand Valley experience. A great hospitality, food, and drinks. You're going to get a swag bag. You're going to get shuttle service. Tons of everything included, including meals. And they've got all-inclusive packages with cottages that are literally steps from the ice. So get your team registered now. We're officially a week away. Register today at sandvalley.com for the 4th annual Sand County Classic at Sand Valley. And as a man, are you starting to feel like you have low energy throughout the day? If you're not having the same motivation, the same drive you're used to, you're seeing the scale go up a little more than you like, and maybe your muscles are tightening up kind of out of nowhere. That's been happening to me. So I'm checking out Game Day Men's Health, just like Mario did a couple weeks ago. It's a very quick and easy process, and they want to support you in your men's health journey through personalized care tailored to your goals. They're family and locally owned and operated, and they've got a really great success rate. Feel better, have more energy with testosterone, vitamin supplements, weight loss, and hair loss treatments. You can be anywhere from 27 and up to check it out. So do it. Start your best life with Game Day Men's Health. Check out their locations in Skokie, Naperville, Libertyville, and more, or scan the QR code on your screen to find the one closest to you. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find the locations closest to you. That's GameDayCHGO.com. All right. That was a fun break. Did you enjoy it?
I learned a lot.
Me too. All right. Let's go out to United Center and bring in Mario Tirabassi, who is in the locker room post-game. Mario, we already heard from Ryan Greene. I know Arvid Soderblom spoke. Before we get to Jeff Blashill, what were the takeaways from you in the room today?
I mean, it's just a game that feels like it's night 2 of back-to-backs, so you're already fighting an uphill battle. It's a team that's the Tampa Bay Lightning, so that's another uphill battle. And I think even though they didn't come away with a win tonight, it kind of feels like a positive result, at least for me. The players, I mean, they want to win 82 games a year. It's not realistic, but that's their mentality. But I think if you were to ask them off the record, they're probably pretty happy with getting 3 points out of a possible 4 on this back-to-back set of games here. So it's disappointing that, you get to overtime and you get some chances. You get inches away from the overtime winner being on the stick of Andre Burakovsky. And then you go to the shootout again, which, you can see anything can happen. Saw that last night. But you don't come away with 2 points. You get but you kind of escape with 1. So it's not a win, but it feels like a positive result.
Yeah, the only like slight pushback I have against that is it wasn't like a even game that they, got tired at the end but held on. They were just getting trucked the entire night. It was basically a full game power play for the Lightning, and I do sometimes wonder, and we talked about this earlier in the show before you jumped on, how do you explain that? Like, yes, I know the Lightning are more talented. I know they're 14-0-1 in their last 15, but the Hawks have NHL talent too. And they're within sniffing distance of a playoff spot in a better conference, in my opinion, in the best division in hockey, in my opinion. and they just can't get the puck. They can't clear the puck. That's what was kind of baffling to me. Yes, the Lightning are very, very good. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't think the gap was as vast as it seemed to be tonight.
I mean, the Lightning are one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. They're one of the best teams in the NHL, and you mix that together, and that's a pretty darn tough team to beat. And then it's a young Blackhawks team that's leaning a lot on young players to produce a lot now. And it's night 2 of back-to-backs with travel. I think coming away with 1 point tonight was an optimal outcome given the circumstances for this team. And it keeps them, within arm's reach of, that second wild card spot right now. And I think if you were to say that they were going to win this game tonight, that's an overachievement. But being able to play it as close as they did, especially the way it looked in the first and second periods, the third period effort was a lot better, which is not usually the case for the team that's playing the second night of back-to-backs. Usually the third period is where your wheels fall off, your legs get tired. But for the Hawks, they were able to kind of keep pace and push a little bit more than they did in the first 2 periods. And then again, like I said, you have opportunities in both the overtime and the shootout to win the game. It's not a win, but I think if you were coming into this game expecting a win, that's a bit optimistic. But to come away with a point, 3 points out of the 4 games against the Lightning and the Hurricanes, you take that every time with this team.
Yeah, no, obviously the 3 out of 4 is outstanding. I just wish it looked a little closer than it was in terms of eye test.
Yeah, had you been had the script been flipped and the Blackhawks had dominated much of the 60 minutes and then lost in a shootout, you'd be upset about the result. But because you were lucky to get that point, you take it and you run with it. But the Blackhawks, here's a little fun stat. In their last 3 second games of back-to-back games, after being so bad at that to start the year, they are 2-0-1 in their last 3 second half of back-to-backs. So they're figuring that out too.
Yeah, I mean, after getting, what was it? They were outscored 27-6 in the previous 4 instances of those back-to-backs. To actually have, 2 wins and you get points out of your last 3. That's pretty impressive. And look, we were talking about it earlier in the night. The one of the first, I think it was the 8th game of the season was against the Lightning. And Blackhawks won that game. They won 3-2. So in the 2 matchups that they face against the Lightning this year, they get a win and a shootout loss on the second night of back-to-backs. For this Hawks team, that's successful.
All right, let's hear what the head coach had to say. What stood out to you tonight?
He had good things to say about Arvid Soderblom's game, given the circumstances that they were facing. So here's what Blashill had to say about tonight's goaltender.
Yeah, no, he did a good job. Certainly kept us in there. We just didn't do a good enough job, I thought, of making the harder plays to get out of our end. I thought we had too many times we made kind of soft plays, didn't get out of our end, so then you're kind of back in your end. I didn't think we were giving up grade A after grade A, but certainly getting leaned on in territorial-wise, so that's probably an easier way for a goalie to be good as long as you can fight through the traffic, because you're not necessarily giving up those backdoor plays, but there's a lot, and I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing with Soderblom tonight is that, he didn't have to make those spectacular saves that I think we're a little bit more used to seeing Spencer Knight be able to make, but he still had to work his butt off to keep the Hawks in the game tonight because of how much offensive zone time the Lightning were able to get, how many long shifts they were able to force the Blackhawks to deal with, and Soderblom was huge in tonight's game. And the only goal you give up in regulation is to Nikita Kucherov on a really nice play, I think, you live with that. And I know Soderblom hasn't been great this year. Not saying this game fixes all of that, but to see him have this kind of performance was really impressive and very timely. So props to him for if he doesn't play the way that they do tonight, we're not even talking about them, getting to overtime or the shootout or even getting a point and keeping themselves in that conversation for the wild card.
For sure, he needed a start like this because after Drew Commesso got that shutout in Nashville, all of a sudden the whispers got louder about, hey, when is this Soderblom guy going to do something? Ben Pope even wrote an article about it in the Sun-Times. He's at the 100, I believe this was his 101st NHL game, and his save percentage is well under 900 in his career. We've only gotten 2 versions of Albert Soderblom this season. The 3 or 4 games he's been really good. That Detroit game early in the season comes to mind. That first game in LA, he was really good. And then tonight, but it's either been really good or really bad. There hasn't been much in between that this year. So good for him. I think he's starting to feel the pressure. At some point, the Blackhawks need to figure out what they're doing with Drew Commesso. He can't stay in Rockford forever. And if Soderblom isn't going to produce, your decision's made for you.
We could throw him in for Ottawa in the Brady Tkachuk trade that everyone's proposing in the chat. Just to illustrate your point, Greg, I'm going from most recent to least recent goals against for Soderblom. 1, 5, 2, 3, 3, 6, 3, 7, 4, 9, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4. That is a roller coaster. I'm not doing it.
You did it.
Did you see the little kid thumbs down 6'7" today?
Yeah, good for
Just
him.
in time for the White Sox to announce a 6'7" bobblehead. You see that?
No.
Yeah. It'll be
Did
dead.
I hear
by
a
the time.
niner in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Six.
That was the Buffalo game.
That would be.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and that was the second half of a back-to-back, so we had to eat that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting scenario that they're in with their goaltenders because Drew Commesso is due a new contract this offseason. I think he'll get it. I'm not really worried about that. But also, you have Soderblom already under contract for next year. Spencer Knight's your starter. You have Adam Guyan playing better this year in college. I know he's not necessarily on the cusp of turning pro, but he's also, in the pipeline and
Olympian
turning
this
head.
year.
Yeah, he's going. That's true. He's going to the Olympics with Slovakia. So, he's on the radar too. So, it's a good spot to be in where you really have to make. We talk about tough roster decisions. They have to make some tough roster decisions in net as well, and kind of figure out who the pieces are moving forward. So I'd rather that than be checking the waiver wire and see which goalie's available, and calling James Reimer off the couch and saying, "Here, can you play goalie?" Yeah, I'd rather not do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we've been talking about this for weeks. They're going to have to make a lot of roster decisions. It's not just in goal of, okay, who is here long-term, who is not, who are we willing to trade? You already saw one go in Nolan Allen, where they said, we're looking at our organizational depth and we're not really seeing a path to the NHL for you. So let's put you somewhere where maybe you can play. There's a lot of those decisions coming in goal for sure.
Yeah, not just a goal, too. There are going to be a lot of tough decisions over the next couple of years as more of these recent draft picks start turning pro.
You're getting, I think, at least one this year with Frondell. So
yeah, and whoever needs to sit to make him play, do it. I don't care. I don't care who it is.
That's fine, except Bedard.
Sure. Well, I don't know. He's not going to get another point for the season. So yeah, scratch Bedard for Frondell.
All right. Anything else from? Yeah, I know. Your furrowed brow is appropriate. Anything else from Blash we need to know?
Yeah, he talked about just the kind of the performance of the team and facing the teams that they did in this back-to-back. And I believe it was Scott Powers asked, is there any benefit to having a back-to-back with it being these quality of teams. So here's what Blashill had to say.
Is there value in that for your group?
I just think there's value in continuing to measure yourself, against these teams. And I think, it was interesting. I talked to a young player today, and he was just talking about it was the first time he'd ever played in Carolina, and I really hadn't thought about that, to be honest with you. And that's a different experience. And then, to kind of see where Tampa's at, because they're similar to us and structurally in a lot of ways. Obviously, their systems systematically we have a lot of similarities. I think what we'll take from tonight is just a lesson of how hard you got to be on your stick, how crisp you have to be with your passes. I thought they were harder and a little more crisp, and so that's the level that we got to get to. And with that said, we were able to get a point and obviously had chances to win in overtime. So we just got to continue to get better.
Not surprising that Jeff Blashill has taken some systems and structures from the Tampa Bay Lightning and tried to implement them here in Chicago. And I think the team's actually been doing pretty decent. 50 points in 51 games this year, on pace for, I think, 81 now, if my math's correct. A lot better than we had expected them to be at the beginning of the year. So it's
Greg mentioned earlier, what was the date when they hit 50 last year?
It took them 71 games to get 50 points last year. March 23rd is when they hit 50.
Yeah, that's crazy. Interesting, though, we were sort of my earlier question about how do you explain how they're able to do this? The crisp passing is a thing. I mean, every pass from Lightning to Lightning was crisp and on the tape. And I think that just comes from obviously skill, obviously experience, obviously absolute belief in the coaching you're receiving. And why wouldn't you? It's the best coach in hockey. Pretty much everyone agrees. And if there was any question about it before, this year solidifies it. And I think that's just when we talk about development, it's not just about, like we said the other day about Lefschon, it's not just developing isn't you're young, go play. And the development's up to you. It's just getting them comfortable in the system. And the penalty kill is such a good example of that. That seems to be the first thing that this team has really embraced. And it's not a coincidence that the penalty kill looks good, because that is the unit with the most veterans on it. It's the one that has the most games played per player is the penalty kill unit. So these guys are comfortable in the league. They've been around. They've played multiple systems, so they're a little more comfortable. Now, these young players like Moore and Lardis and on and on and on, while we're very pleased with the play they've had this year, it's going to be the off-the-puck stuff. It's going to be the neutral zone puck movement or, the breakouts and those sort of things that maybe we don't notice with such a fine-tooth comb as the, obviously, scoring plays or goals against or whatever they might be. But when all of it starts clicking, then you're going to start to look like these more elite teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take some time, and I think a good thing to kind of look at is see how Nick Lardis and Oliver Moore have clicked this year. This is their first year playing professionally together, and because they've known each other through the prospect system, they've known each other playing in Rockford earlier this year, and then they get put on a line together once they're both here in Chicago, and that chemistry has just continued to build. Like, that's the process of a lot of these young guys is coming up together and growing their games together and maturing together. That's what you want to see, so that when you get to the NHL, these guys already have some relationships and they're not just trying to figure it out as young players on the NHL stage. They already have a little bit of that foundation built up, so that a year, 2, 3 years down the line, when this team is built with the guys that we're all excited about, and it's Bedard and Nazar and Moore and Lardis and Kantsarov and Frondell and Vlasic and Levshina, and they've all developed and they've all got more chemistry, then they can look like the Lightning, where they know exactly where guys are going to be, and they're able to play tic-tac-toe, more fancy, more sexy looking hockey, but they got to start with that foundation, and that's what we're seeing in different different chunks and different spurts of time so far this season.
Well, before you, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Blashill's talked about that a lot this season in playing, being predictable to each other. And we saw that in that stretch coming out of the holiday break, and they've kind of gone away from it a little bit, but those things don't happen overnight. It takes a long time to be able to do that every night.
Yeah.
All right. Before we let you go, we want to share this moment from pregame where Jeff Blashill was beginning his press conference, and his buddy John Cooper was maybe 50 feet away in the hallway. Here's a fun little exchange before the game.
How is Dickinson feeling? You're waiting for it, weren't you?
Yeah. Did you even show up to the meeting? Like, were you even in there? What did we ask?
How's Dickinson feeling?
We anticipate Dickinson will play tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. You tell me first.
Nothing.
You miss him, don't you?
I know, actually. They're starting Bassi.
I saw that was funny from before the game. And you look at the improvements that Blashill has made from his first stint in Detroit to now Detroit, now in Chicago. A lot of that credit goes to John Cooper, and just observing the way he runs things, runs practices, talks to his players, all that stuff. No better person to learn from than him. Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely taken away a lot, it seems, from his time in Tampa, and it's good. I mean, we've seen it so far this year with this Hawks group, and I think there's a lot of belief in Blashill and the coaching staff, and a lot of results to back it up, at least so far.
All right, thanks, Mario. We'll talk to you. I don't know when we work again. Sunday.
All right.
Sunday.
Against the Panthers.
All right, easier game somehow.
Much easier.
All right, talk to you then. Thanks, Mario.
So guys.
That's Mario Tirabassi from the United Center. And make sure you follow him on Twitter at Mario_Tirabassi if Twitter is indeed working, which it wasn't really doing very well tonight. Before we get to, I want to talk about Terry Boers a little bit, but before we do, can we have a little fun game?
Sure.
Did everyone see Craig Berube today?
I didn't until you pointed out, because I don't make. Oh my goodness,
Good Lord! So Craig Berube, when meeting the media ahead of the Mitch Marner Bowl that the Leafs lost,
is that Frankenstein?
Had this baseball cap on, and the reporters noticed he had a little bit of a black eye.
A little bit.
So then he removed the hat and said it was a weight room accident.
That dude hasn't lifted weights in 20 years.
Now, to me, I'm trying to figure, not that I'm going to be a Pepe Silva conspiracy theorist here. This looks to me like the wife took the iron right to his head. That is the perfect triangular shape.
It's definitely a Home Alone situation. That's what's happening right now. He tried to break into Kelvin McAllister's house, and that's what you get.
It is the perfect triangular shape of the top of an iron, and maybe the old lady just bashed him over the head with it. I don't know. And I heard Elliot Friedman on Sportsnet Hockey Central saying that Anthony Stolarz was ready to play, and maybe he wasn't, and then he assaulted Craig Berube, and he got the start today against Vegas. I don't know, but that is gross.
Yeah, that is
not a try. I probably should have given a warning. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That looks like it hurt a lot. Like, and he's there coaching the next day. I'd still be lying on the ground in the fetal position if I got hit like that.
I mean, that's so wait. I wonder if he was like benching and tried to put the bar back and like missed. That could be what it. I mean, if I'm trying to be serious about it,
was he doing like one of the weight machines and like the tension?
Maybe
it
like
snapped and hit him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Gross.
I don't know, but that's. I mean, he's a tough guy.
A mere scratch.
I mean, the dude was I'm not surprised he's coaching with that, the way he played.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a, old school enforcer type player, but that's quite the thing, man. That's brutal.
He does need to perform the rest of the year, right, and do his job, or else he's going to get lobotomy jokes, because it's also there's a little lobotomy going on there too.
Listen, the Maple Leaf fans probably made plenty of comments along that way that they're not a fan of him anymore.
Shocking.
It's amazing.
It's funny how the Leafs just bail on everyone all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing that you trade away Mitch Marner, an elite two-way forward, and try to replace him with 3 third-liners, and then wonder why it's not working, and still don't get a goaltender.
It's pretty funny.
Or a defenseman.
I did watch to see what the reception would be for Marner, and so Sportsnet. By the way, the Sportsnet pregame, it's so good. They just know what they're doing. They're hockey people. They're not guys that are waiting to climb the ladder and do something else.
Well,
Like, it's just
hockey broadcasts are important in Canada.
and Ron McLean just says, "All right, Marner's about to hit the ice. Let's listen." And they just show the players taking the ice, and as soon as 93 hits the ice, boo! Like
Sportsnet hockey broadcasts are the equivalent of American NFL broadcasts.
Yeah,
that's why they're good, and that's why we were dealing with John Tortorella telling us to watch the shot clock on American hockey broadcasts.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something that may get me banned from Blackhawks land. Kevin Bieksa is really good at broadcasting.
He is. He's very good.
He's very talented.
He is. No doubt. He's good. And him.
He is what I wish that Bissonnette was. I feel like Bissonnette is too. I think he does a good job too, but I think he's too into the shtick.
Yeah, that gets out. It gets a bit much. He has
back 5 degrees.
He has become a much improved actual analyst when he's actually analyzing the game. He does good stuff.
Bieksa does the ball busting and the locker room banter and all that stuff.
But it's not constant.
Right.
Like he doesn't have a tour bus and he doesn't wear Toronto Maple Leaf jackets on the air on a national broadcast. But whatever. I mean, people like it. I get it. But yeah, Kevin Bieksa is developed into a very good analyst. And I like the fun that he has with Elliot Freeman. Those two kind of have that rivalry going, and it's a lot of fun to hear all those guys. They get along good. I mean, it's a really good broadcast.
All right, it is time for Taking the Temp, presented by your trusted local experts at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com, and what an appropriate name for Taking a Temp. Today, if you didn't know, the Milwaukee Admirals and Iowa Wild played an outdoor game
in Minnesota.
Official temperature at puck drop was -8. That is the thermometer temperature.
That's the air temperature, not the wind chill.
Not wind chill. Yeah. That is the air temperature.
I don't know who thought having an outdoor game on a Friday night in Minnesota was a good idea, but I know it was for Hockey Day in Minnesota. That's why that happened, but that's cold, and apparently it was so cold. How cold was it? It was so cold that the Flow Sports broadcast went off the air because all their equipment froze. And not a lot of people there, as you can see. Some of the shots that they did show online, it was like a makeshift built rink just for this.
I'm sorry, I'm not saying in -8 for an 8.
Well, it is Minnesota. Those guys, they're used to that. They'll sit in a shanty ice fishing for 3 days straight in that temperature. But there wasn't a lot of people there.
They had other priorities today. So that breaks the record of the 22 Winter Classic. Guess where that was? Minnesota. That was -5.7 at puck drop. That was the Blues and Wild. And if you go back and look at photos from the 2022 Winter Classic, you see a lot of people suffering. Joey, I'm going to throw this picture of Ryan O'Reilly.
That's because they were suffering because it was freezing cold, and they had to watch the Wild take on the Blues in some exciting NHL action.
Ryan O'Reilly looks like the abominable snowman.
He looks like Han Solo on Hoth.
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside. We're gonna pull that up here quickly, but this is gonna be hard for me to do. To talk about Terry Boers, and those that don't know, score legend Terry Boers passed away today at the age of 75. Longtime host with Dan McNeil, the Heavy Fuel Crew, and then with Dan Bernstein. I think people that listen to Terry understood how beloved he was. And I said in my tweet that word gets thrown around a lot. Like, oh, he's a beloved broadcaster. He's a whatever. Everyone who knew Terry loved him. And I don't say like, oh, I love that. Like I love cheese fries. Like legitimately, when I heard Terry passed away, I had to kind of excuse myself from the game for him a little bit today, because a guy who I never worked with on his show, but was always on the show either before or after his, always the nicest guy in the world, always checking in on everybody. And it's a guy who we all did our best, and I should have done a better job, but of course, hindsight, of keeping in touch with him over the years and trying to check in and see how he's doing. And I know Dan Bernstein had him on the podcast, right before Christmas?
It was one of the first shows. Whenever it was
pretty early.
It was more like it was right
Maybe
like
Thanksgiving.
September.
Was it that
It was
early?
early because his podcast started like right as Bears season was starting. It was one of the first episodes.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but you could tell that he wasn't doing well. And I'll say this too: I think my dad, who passed in July, and Terry kind of had a similar path where it was just sort of ailment after ailment and illness after illness. And I think after a while, and I don't know this, but it's just the vibe I got is you just kind of run out of gas and you just get sick of fighting and you're sick of being in pain and you're sick of being miserable and you're just done. So I know Terry was suffering. I'm glad he's not anymore. And I was texting with 20 different friends from this core, and everyone says like it's really sad, but then every time I think about him, I laugh, or I think it's something funny that he did or a bit that he did. And there's a lot of old Boers and Bernstein bits on YouTube. So if you're not familiar, because that show ended,
it's been a while,
long time ago.
Yeah, probably 10 years ago.
At least 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So and I'll say this about both those guys: they changed the way that sports broadcasting went, because for a long time it was scream as loud as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And the louder you scream, the more correct you are. Where Dan and Terry sort of challenged the listeners to say, hey, let's have a smarter way to discuss this. Let's not just be meatballs and flipping tables after every loss. Let's actually break this down. Let's talk about what matters. And I think that they rubbed some people the wrong way in that. But I think at the end of the day, looking back, they were usually on the right side of things. Not always, but usually. And when they weren't, they would wear it. They would own it. But Terry, just specifically, just a hero of mine, a mentor of mine, and we all call him Uncle Terry, and that's how it felt. He was just that guy for all of us. And I got a text from a friend who did not work at the Score, but was a longtime listener. He said, I'm just feeling really weird because I have big feelings about someone I've never met. I kind of grew up listening to him. Rest in peace, Uncle Terry. And I said, the guy you grew up listening to is Terry. So you do know him. And I think a lot of people who listen to Boers and Bernstein or Heavy Fuel or whatever Terry was involved in, that was the man. The man you heard on the radio was the guy in real life. And I think most people are to an extent, but there's a little bit of, showmanship or an amplified version of yourself. Terry was 100% authentic all the time. And if you thought you were a penis, he was going to tell you were a penis.
Yeah. That's Terry Boers is a huge influence on me. I was never fortunate enough to work with him like you did, but I felt like I knew him. Just
you and Terry would have been.
Well, that's.
Oh my God.
That's why I
start cut from the same cloth.
Well, that's why I think I gravitated to him.
Yeah.
Because it was like he was saying a lot of the same things I would say, even at age 14, I was a grumpy old man. So I didn't just wake up one day this way. I've been this way my whole life. But I remember, he's a big reason why I'm here right now. I mean, he's a big reason why I wanted to be a sports writer as a kid was, my dad bought both newspapers every morning, bought the Trib and the Sun-Times, and he'd come home from work and he'd sit there and listen and read the papers, and I would wait till he was done and I'd grab the sports section. There were two guys that I went to first. I just found their column and then read the rest of it afterwards. It was Terry Boers and it was Steve Rosenblum. Those two guys were the biggest influences on me.
I see that.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Terry, I didn't care what Terry Boers was writing about. I just wanted to read it. And a lot of times he covered the Bulls for all those championship years and wrote a lot about the Bulls, did Bears too. But I wasn't the biggest Bulls guy. I'm not the biggest basketball guy, but if he was writing about Michael Jordan and the Bulls, I was reading it. I didn't care because I knew it was going to be well written and have an opinion that I normally agree with. And then the way he reinvented himself as a radio host to go from crotchety old beat writer to crotchety old radio host.
Yes.
But he just totally reinvented himself perfectly. And, you mentioned the Dan McNeil days. Every day I listened to that.
Yeah.
And it was so good. And then the Boers and Bernstein became appointment radio every day. I remember working for a printing company, and we'd have Boers and Bernstein on every day and listening to it and laughing. And Thursdays we'd never missed Who You Crappin'. We always took our lunch break around Who You Crappin'. It was 4 or 5 of us sitting around listening to it.
Yeah.
Just so good. Reinvented himself, but as you said, changed the way sports radio was done forever. I mean, he was one of the first to ever do it.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Score first started, I remember the 8:20 days where it was, as soon as the sun went down, it went off the air.
There it goes.
Mike Murphy had like 8-minute shows some days. Those are his best ones. But I just remember that, and it was brand new, and it was like, oh, these are guys I've been reading my whole life that are now talking, and it was cutting edge, and they changed the way sports were covered in this town and nationally. He's a big part of that, and a huge influence. I know, Sam Fells is a big time.
One of the people I texted.
Yeah, he's always been like me, influenced a lot by Terry Boers. So I'm sure he's feeling it too. But a legend in sports media, and even though I never got to meet him, at least not at, I think I met him a couple times at Score events that I went to, but never got the opportunity to really sit and talk with him. I know as great of a writer he was, as great of a radio as it was, I know he was an even better person just by the way everybody who did get the honor to work with him talks about him. And you said, he was the same person. You knew it too. It was just his genuineness came out, and you knew that's who he is.
Curmudgeon with a heart of gold. That is absolutely a big teddy bear underneath the facade. But in everything he said that was, snarky or mean was always with a little bit of a smile and a wink. And actually, the other day I was thinking about this. It was Tuesday. I texted Dan Bernstein because I remember Terry Boers was out on remote. He said that man made a rash decision because he said like some kind of skin condition. And I was like, who is he talking about? And Dan said, just some poor old man getting off a plane. That man made a rash decision. That is like the kind of stuff that Terry would do all the time, but he would never get in trouble for it because he would do it with a smile and do it with a wink. And it's on YouTube. You can find it. Some of the best stuff they've ever done. And I think that one thing that polarized a lot of people about them was Dan and Terry I'm talking about, was their impatience for stupidity. Just because you have a phone doesn't entitle you to just blare out a bad opinion. And I think that one thing that I've taken from Terry and Dan is that I'll never do a show or give an opinion I don't believe in. It doesn't mean that my opinion can't change with new information, but I think they always did a great job of not, because you did see sports media went two ways, right? You had what Dan and Terry were doing, and I think locally everyone followed suit because then everybody was trying to be the new Boers and Bernstein, and you just can't. You just can't do it. And then you also had the ESPNification of everything where it's argue points.
Yeah.
Point, counterpoint. I believe this. You believe this. We're going to fight about it. And we're just going to keep doing it for an hour. That is my least favorite form of media because it's insincere and it's fake and it's made up. And it is if there's one thing I took professionally from Terry is be yourself, say what you believe all the time. And if you're wrong, admit you're wrong and be willing to change your mind. But if you always say what you believe, then you're never going to do your audience wrong. And I think they had a massive respect for their audience. And when you heard them insulting their callers, they were doing it on behalf of the 95% of the audience that was like, what is this idiot talking about? Right. And I think there was just this understanding of like, let's just put everybody on, let everybody have a thought, and we'll just say, yeah, good call. Thanks. Yeah. They should move Zorich to linebacker and Urlacher to safety. Good idea. No, do not suffer fools, as Got to do more says in the chat. We also have a $1 super chat from Young Dangle God. We have to get to. I know he commented. There it is.
Must have mentioned Patrick.
Yes,
Kane.
he did. He said, sounds like we need to inject some pure offense into the lineup. Maybe a skilled playmaker, one who is about to become the all-time American born points leader.
Dude hasn't had a point in a month.
Yes, he is still 4 points behind Modano.
2.
Oh, 2 now.
He's been stuck at 2 for like a week and a half.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he had a really sick pass to DeBrincat the other day.
He did.
He has not scored a point in 2 games. And 1 point in his last 5. I think he's just trying to drag it out. You know?
He's waiting for the next time he's at the United Center to do it here.
Probably. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks for being with us. We are back officially Sunday for Hawks and Panthers, so don't miss that. I got to check that game time for everybody and for myself. That is a 6 p.m. puck drop at the UC, so we'll join you after that. But we are dropping a mini pod tomorrow afternoon, so be on the lookout for that. We're going to get into some of the latest trade deadline rumblings involving the Blackhawks. All right. Thanks to Joey for running the show tonight. Thanks to Greg for being here. Thanks to you for sticking around and bearing with us during our Terry Boers conversation. Terry, love you. We'll miss you forever. You are the greatest. Love you, Uncle Terry. We'll talk to everybody on Sunday on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.